Thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasairos. I talk about politics, sports, and entertainment to keep you well balanced what's going on around the world. If you don't like hearing the truth, definitely don't tune into this channel. So let's jump right in today. President Joe Biden diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has metastasized to his bones. His condition was characterized by a Gleason score of 9. Biden's diagnosis was made public on Sunday, leading to widespread expressions of support from both sides of the political spectrum, including former Presidents Trump and Obama. Let me make a correction. It says former President Trump, but Trump is the president right now. So I don't know what this article is talking about. And Vice President Kamala Harris. While no official treatment plan has been disclosed, options typically include hormone therapy to manage the disease's progression. So Barack Obama tweets out, Michelle and I are thinking of the entire Biden family. Nobody has done more to find breakthrough treatments for cancer in all its forms than Joe, and I am certain he will fight this challenge with his trademark resolve and grace. We pray for a fast and full recovery. Barack Obama has no shame at all. The same Joe Biden and his administration with Dr. Fauci that forced millions of Americans to get COVID shots. And now we have cancer exploding in our country, forms of cancer that are super aggressive, killing young people and killing Americans by the thousands. This is just typical Barack Obama. He wouldn't take responsibility for anything if it slapped him across the face. Joe Biden, he's done more for Joe Biden and Dr. Fauci have caused more death, destruction, and cancer than anybody in the history of the world. Barack Obama is absolutely disgusting, and I wouldn't expect anything less. Yeah, let's turn Joe Biden into a victim now. That's a complete joke. And here's another thing, they're claiming that Joe Biden has stage 4 cancer. Are you really trying to tell me that during his presidency that they didn't know that Joe Biden had cancer? You mean the president of the United States that gets the best healthcare on the entire planet, who gets regular checkups weekly? You're going to tell me that his administration, his wife didn't know that he had stage 4 cancer? Yeah, I find that hard to believe. So Joe Biden was incapacitated in the basement, eating ice cream, senile, had prostate cancer, while Jill Biden and Barack Obama destroyed the entire country with their garbage policies. That's exactly what happened. And then they wait for 2 days before the book that comes out that's going to discuss Joe Biden's decline and how the entire administration was hiding it. Perfect timing. So now nobody will come out and criticize Joe Biden because now he's just a sick man, and anybody that criticizes him at this point is just mean, heartless, and has no empathy. The Biden crime family has nobody to blame but themselves for the way that they are perceived. I don't consider Joe Biden some poor old man that's now ill. What goes around comes around, Joe. Joe Biden and Dr. Fauci are responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths in America during COVID and up to this date. You know how many people right now have cancer because they got COVID shots and boosters and all the other garbage that Joe Biden and his administration forced American citizens to put into their body? I feel absolutely no pity at all for Joe Biden, and I won't make any apologies whatsoever. Yeah, now we're gonna have to hear how Joe's the big fighter and Joe's so strong. No, Joe's a destroyer. Joe is corrupt. Joe forced again millions of Americans to put drugs in their body. We have an explosion of cancer in the United States to so many young people, like super aggressive forms of cancer. And it was caused by the COVID shots and the boosters. And now Joe Biden's, Mr. Innocent Joe Biden, everybody should feel bad for him now. Meanwhile, him and Dr. Fauci killed thousands upon thousands of Americans. People committed, you know what? They didn't want to live anymore. I can't say it because the channel will get closed down, but you get the point. What goes around comes around, Joe. Here's a real interesting tweet from Dr. Stephen Quay. Prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts, and to watch it progress to bone metastasis The PSA blood tests show the rate of cancer cell growth for even with the most aggressive form. It is a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic, meaning it would be a malpractice for this patient to show up and be first diagnosed with metastatic disease in May 2025. It is highly likely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout his whole White House tenure, and the American people were uninformed. Of course, they were, because the corrupt liberal media, that's all they do is lie for Joe Biden. They lie for Democrats. And that's why President Trump had 90 million Americans vote for him because they are tired of the lies and the garbage. Are you really surprised from anything that corrupt Joe Biden and the Biden crime family, what comes out? Every day you learn something new, what the Biden crime family was up to. They are the most vile family in the United States of America. Hunter, Jill Biden is absolutely disgusting. She is one of the most evil human beings on the entire planet. She propped her husband up like Weekend at Bernie's. The man had colon cancer. He doesn't know who he is. He has Alzheimer's disease, and she propped him up like Weekend at Bernie's so she could control the country and run it with Barack Obama. Jill Biden is one of the most evil human beings on planet Earth. A urologist, Dr. Schusterman, says it's unheard of for someone with Biden's level of care. That's what I said before, to not know he had prostate cancer 5, 10 years ago. It was full on cover up. It's very unlikely that someone could get actual checkups and not notice. He is a former president, had intensive state of the art care. It's unusual to hear that someone has prostate cancer when they're annually being followed up. The fact that we find it at Gleason 9 is unheard of. Most likely, he had it for a long time. Aggressive prostate cancer grows over a long period of time, 5 to 10 years, in the most aggressive form. Definitely evidence that he knew about this for a while. That's what I said. We're not talking about some guy that works at UPS. We're talking about the president of the United States who has the best medical care in the world. Of course, he had this his whole presidency, and the Biden crime family, Jill Biden, and the Democratic crime machine and the media lied for him and covered it up. Let's let this doctor talk.
Someone could get annual checkups and not notice a PSA elevation over the past, you know, but this is what I typically would see in a VA hospital where a patient hasn't had medical attention in 10 years, presents to an emergency room with bone pain, and then they find that it's metastatic prostate cancer. But in the modern age of medicine, especially the fact that he was a former president, he had intensive state of the art, care where we can see prostate cancer, 10 years in the past. So this is, it's very unusual to hear that someone has prostate cancer where they're annually being followed up. And the fact that we just find it at a Gleason 9 is just pretty much unheard of in this day and age of medicine. Even in the, even in the inner city populations, we
I
wouldn't
see. So,
see
so
it
you're saying
this bad.
even in a medically neglected population, it would be surprising to have a surprise diagnosis with a Gleason score of 9. So you're saying that certainly as
That's
he was
correct.
serving in the Oval Office, you believe that he knew that he had prostate cancer, and even potentially as he was running in 2020 before he assumed office.
Well, most likely he had prostate cancer for a long time, and the aggressive prostate cancer such as this at age 80 grows over a long period of time. I mean, usually it takes from the first diagnosis of prostate cancer to spread would take 5 to 10 years, even in the most aggressive form. Um, it's just to me, it seems very surprising that it would the first diagnosis would be a metastatic diagnosis, especially Gleason 9 cancer, without having his PSA history. I mean, I would like him to get to release the PSA history right now to see what it was. I mean, I'm talking from an area of kind of not as much information as I
I
would
understand.
like to have
And
as
it is
a
not
urologist.
it is not standard. We were looking for PSA score to be released as part of these public presidential health reports. We didn't get Trump's most recently either. I want to ask very quickly. So much has been made of his apparent cognitive decline. Is there a possibility that either the cancer itself or any treatments he was undergoing in secret could affect cognitive function of a person?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what happens is when prostate cancer becomes like, say you get treated for prostate cancer and then the prostate cancer recurs, what you would do is you would start someone on a, kind of a testosterone blocking hormone such as Lupron, and because Lupron acts to lower your testosterone, it gives you kind of like symptoms of depression, lower energy, fatigue. So there's a lot of things that go with being on Lupron treatment. So Lupron is a class of medicine that just castrates, chemically castrates someone so that the prostate cancer doesn't spread. And so Lupron was likely used in
I
Joe
understand.
Biden.
So to be very clear, you believe he was silently, secretly battling this for at least 5 years.
Well, I think that's yet to be seen. I mean, it would be very surprising, like I said earlier, for him to have prostate cancer at Gleason 9 spread to bone without, uh, without being neglected medically. So the fact that he was seen medically every year, it's just very surprising. I mean, his PSA must be over 50 at this point,
Okay.
if not a lot more, just because of bone mets. Is a sign that it's very aggressive and spreading to other parts of the body. So uh, I think there's definitely evidence that he probably knew about this for a while.
Jill Biden is absolutely a disgusting human being. She sits there and she tries to act like she has so much class and dignity. And she propped her husband up again, like Weekend at Bernie's. The man had prostate cancer. He had Alzheimer's disease. He was a complete mess. And she made a complete mockery out of him just so she could retain power. She's an absolute disgrace. And I'm going to end it with that. Thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasiros.